Thank you for joining us for the third game. Those of you still sticking around in this wonderful, exceptional series between P-Train and DIVISIGNS. Hey everyone, I'm Cyclone. Contrary to what the layout says, Hammer is still with me. How you ready for another one, Hammer?
Heck yeah. I mean, I only got, half of a dose with the first one, so let's just go again.
We'll get the layout update because that was so fast. I don't think we're even ready with the score on there yet, so we'll get that fixed very quickly. The race should be starting in just about a minute here. But any predictions for this one?
So is it commentary curse if I say that I'm fairly certain this seed's going to be terrible just because of the last one?
I have already predicted that. I was actually setting up a different race on the server, and I was telling them about this race, and they're like, "We're done. We're not gonna get a good seed." They said. So yeah, that was absolutely a sensational seed last time. 30 minutes and 47 seconds for go mode. Like I said, that's the fastest go mode I have ever seen. I don't even know what to react to that. I really don't know.
It's okay, because thankfully no one really had time to react to it. It was just kind of an, okay, it's go mode, now go.
So, yeah, beautiful day here in Hyrule. We're coming to you live from our tower on Death Mountain. This is game number 3. This is winner take all of this series, and we are about to get started. So, looks like they have the seed loaded. They are ready to go. We have fast Ganon. We have sword handed to them before they even walk out the door. This is going to be a fun one, folks. So we got some neat modifiers here. We can have a fast GT as well. Here we are in Link's house and in Sanctuary. We have blue mail and a small key, both located.
Oh, I'm still trying to wind down from that last one.
Well, why don't you explain a little bit about the fast scan mechanic to help you wind down?
Right, okay, so for those of you who are new to V31, one of the interesting changes that is incorporated is that you can do a fast Ganon. Basically how that works is, wow, that's a heck of a drop from our bushcraft fairies. That might come in handy. But essentially how that works is when you get into the Dark World, the pyramid is already wide open. So Ganon is obviously not going to be vulnerable until the clear conditions have been met, which in this case are still 7 crystals, so it's not just Dark World access and then defeat Ganon. You are still going to need to complete all 7 of the crystals, but at that point, we're not going to have a GT climb outside of something terrible happening like needing a sword. Because basically everything that's going to be required for go mode, you're not going to have anything more that you're going to need to defeat Ganon other than potentially a Master Sword, and that would honestly be a terrible situation.
I need to give an update on something we just saw while you were giving that explanation, and thank you for that. We just saw the Lumberjack Ledge. This is going to be a much different seed than game number 2. I saw a Power Glove, possibly by then Titan's Mitt, sitting on Lumberjack Ledge, which means that I think we're going to have an early boots somewhere, because we have to be able to get that to get access to a chunk of the Dark World. We have to have the Titan's Mitt to access a chunk of the Dark World, so we can already conclude boots are not going to be in places like Ice Palace or Turtle Rock, or places like that that require the Titan's Hammer to get into. I saw crystals at Tower of Hera and Desert Palace. Didn't catch what was the Eastern.
I unfortunately did not have a chance to either, but yeah, that Power Glove is going to be interesting.
So yeah, this is 100% probably going to be an Aghanim seed, unless for some reason Ice Palace, Misery Mire, and Turtle Rock are all pendants, which since I didn't see what Eastern Palace was, I can't say for sure that's the case, but we know 2 crystals are in the light world. So we'll see what happens once we get an Eastern Palace confirmation. Actually, our tracker is saying it was another crystal.
Yeah, so the no Titan's Mitt dream is still alive, but unlikely at this point.
Still unlikely. You would have to have literally a 4 out of 7, or 4 out of 4, because the whole 4 would have to be crystal for it to come true. So in the back of Blind's hut, we have 20 rupees, a heart container, a smaller piece of heart, and another 20 rupees. So there's 2 of the big 20s in the sea. There's 28 of those in total. And this chest at the back of Blind's hut is going to provide some bombs. So that we had some bombs already, but now he has another one for the bottom of the well because he had run out.
Yeah, that is making routing a bit easier for Kakariko. Meanwhile,
we have our Master Sword. That's the first sword in the game. 4 swords are still placed. So the 4th sword will just be replaced by a 20 rupee, green rupee item. But that's the first sword we found. So by the logic, that sword is the first sword. Oh, we have a hammer.
so this seed might end up being fairly quick, even with the potential Aghanim requirement. And a lamp.
Yeah, lamp is nice to have. That was go mode last seed, which is kind of funny to say. Lamp was go mode.
Yeah, that's kind of ridiculous.
Question in chat, why is this game 1 hour early? Well, this was planned to be a doubleheader from the start. As soon as the first race was finished, we were going to be going within about a half hour. And the first race was just incredibly fast, so the race was an hour early.
Yep, the runners decided that after the quick race that was Game 2, they were just going to go ahead and get Game 3 out of the way, which, since it was scheduled to be after Game 2, can't really blame them.
Indeed. And of course, those of you who are watching on YouTube, it's not early or late. It's right on time. We're happy to have you all with us here watching on our playlist on YouTube as well.
So P-Train also did do a really early escape there, just like last seed. Came in handy a bit more last seed than it did this go around, but not really hurting him with that second sword.
So P-Train going to check the item in the dam area, the light world side of the Swamp Palace. DIVISIGNS is playing race game. Did he do a check of what it was already, or is he just playing this blind? He's finding the Moon Pearl either way.
I don't believe DIVISIGNS checked it beforehand. If he did, I missed it. So that was either a just a decision on his end to just go ahead and grab it, or he saw it and I didn't pay attention.
And if he did just play it blind, then that saves time over checking it and coming back yet anyway. But again, that can vary depending on the item. Both methods work depending what the item is. So DIVISIGNS is going to head up to the castle with that sword that he already has in his hand. And hammer to help with whatever he might need it for up there. He can't access Aghanim yet. Aghanim is still off the table for him, but we know the Master Sword is going to be found here in the castle. I believe that's where P-Train found it. And we are going to be seeing that momentarily. There's the Bombos Medallion in Mini Moldorm Cave. There is the mirror.
Alright, so mirror less likely to be a problem at this point, given that it's going to be sitting right in Mini Moldorm Cave.
And there's that Master Sword for DIVISIGNS I was just referring to. So he could opt if he chooses to. And this P-Train could have done the same thing. They could have done Aghanim right away, but they're not rushing it because Aghanim's tower can be a little difficult on 3 or 4 hearts. So I can see them wanting to grab the boots before they worry about that because they need the boots to get the Power Glove or Titan's Mid anyway. P-Train going to check Ice Rod Cave now. Ice Rod Cave giveth a shield.
Yep, not a whole lot there, but it's really not a check you want to orphan just in case.
Oh yeah, the most fun is when the Ice Rod Cave has the Ice Rod. That is absolutely horrible when that gets missed.
Honestly, it's even worse when it has something like the flute, because that's one of those items that you could grab that would make it infinitely easier and quicker to check Ice Rod Cave.
Agree. DIVISIGNS was setting up a Death Warp. He got the Mace Guard down. Now he's going to kill himself via Green Guard. Green Guard wins! And
It's
the
kind of an
broken.
amusing death sprite there for the.
I was just gonna comment on that. The broken telepathy tile. What's interesting is that P-Train has the mirror, so DIVISIGNS hasn't done South Shore yet, and that mirror was in Mini Moldorm, so that would have given him the ability to mirror instead of having to take that death.
Yeah, it does make it a little quicker, but not too bad.
No, not that bad. And there's the Moon Pearl for P-Train, now in his hand.
So at this point, the interesting possibility is trying to figure out whether or not we're going to get Dark World access outside of that Power Glove sitting on Lumberjack Ledge. Because if we get Dark World access, the boots could still be just about anywhere. Whereas if that glove is our Dark World access, then that severely limits where our boots could be.
Now this is interesting. DIVISIGNS is noting the glove is on the Lumberjack Ledge because he did check that. He is finding his way to the back of escape through the castle normally, knowing he's not going to have at least one of those power gloves to open up the grave the way he normally would. So he's going to get the items this way. There's the map, there is the potion, and there is the flute that you were just referring to earlier.
Really good call on DIVISIGN's side then, because between that goo, which will allow him to check Sick Kid, and the flute, that's going to be a difficult check for P-Train, obviously, outside of there being a glove really, really early somewhere around here.
Well, the lamp was in Mini Moldorm Cave, so as soon as he goes to Mini Moldorm Cave, he might consider doing that. I think I saw him doing the castle, because obviously he is the source, so he did the castle. I don't think he did Dark Cross, so once he has the lamp, he may find his way back there. But I don't think he knows the Power Glove is at Lumberjack yet.
No, I don't believe so, because P-Train does like doing this kind of from south to north. Definitely has not done a Lost Woods check yet.
DIVISIGNS, meanwhile, is standing in front of a scarecrow. You might be wondering why he's standing there doing nothing. It's okay. He's playing music. He's just opening up. He's just getting his free unlimited passes to Swag Duck Airlines. And there's the duck.
So this is one of those interesting checks, because if Sick Kid has something relevant here... Okay, so, thankfully for P-Train, nothing behind Sick Kid.
Yeah, just his last $5 from his allowance, I guess. That's a bit unfortunate. So P-Train going to get the bombs from back here, which he doesn't really need at this point. Now, where will P-Train go at this point? That's the interesting question right now.
Well, yep, because P-Train does not know that Aghanim is going to just about guaranteed to be required.
Now, I'm just looking at the dungeons that are sitting there available. Obviously, Eastern Palace cannot be cleared yet. We can go there, we just can't clear it. Desert Palace also can't be cleared, but Tower of Hera with the flute is fully accessible. And look at this!
Oh boy. Well, see, here's the issue. Upon DIVISIGNS checking that Lumberjack Ledge and seeing the glove, he's probably thinking, oh, okay, well, at least we're going to get boots early, and now that's not necessarily going to be the case.
Yeah, that glove was exactly what DIVISIGNS did not want to see. And P-Train's going to probably eventually get his flute. He's going to go up Death Mountain. He's going to see the glove up there and be like, oh, I'm in good shape. And he's never going to know that he has to get that glove from Lumberjack Ledge and going to have to go back and do Aghanim possibly half an hour from now, a little bit later in the season. So this could be a huge advantage for DIVISIGNS, knowing exactly where that second glove is and knowing he can go straight to Aghanim whenever he's ready to.
Yeah, that is a good point. DIVISIGNS, though, still missing out on that mirror, just like last time, although heading that way now. So, gonna probably have a moment of exasperation upon heading into Mini Moldorm Cave and grabbing the mirror, because, well, he could have cleared Hera if he'd had it before going up the mountain.
I thought you were going to go for a pun there, a moment of reflection. There is our Dark World map check. We do have pendants over on the east side on Turtle Rock and Palace of Darkness. I did see a red crystal at Ice Palace, and I did see other crystals flashing. I didn't see exactly where they were.
The other pendant for posterity's sake is Swamp.
So yeah, the fact that Misery Mire therefore is confirmed, that does confirm Aghanim required, because you need a Titan's Bit to get to Misery Mire. And also Ice Palace, but any one of them works.
So interestingly enough, P-Train electing not to go up the mountain, which is kind of intriguing, given that he does have the flute, so he would be able to do that. But instead, just saying, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and clear Aghanim.
And I'm finding it surprising, because I didn't think he checked the information. He must just think, you know what, I'm not finding a lot of progress here. I'm just going to get this done.
Well, honestly, at that point, even with the items that he has, the mountain is only... Oh, no, right, because he does have the mirror, too, so it would be a Hera clear. That is kind of interesting.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he checked it and we didn't see him checking it or something like that. That's possible. And yeah, the fact he doesn't have the boots yet, he can't get to the Power Glove yet anyway, so he's definitely not doing this for the Power Glove.
So Chad is saying that we're flipping it. P-Train's the one who checked, and DIVISIGNS did not.
That's our mistake then. I said that in error. Thank you, chat.
Okay, so at that point, this does make a whole heck of a lot more sense. P-Train knowing the glove's there, not knowing that the old man gives us the glove, but still knowing that he's at least going to almost definitely need one.
So in that case, that means DIVISIGNS might be in really, really bad shape. That he gets that first glove, and he's not going to have any inclination to look for that second glove at the Lumberjack. If that first glove had stayed hiding for a while longer, or if it was the first glove intended to be picked up, it would have eventually funneled DIVISIGNS over to that glove. But not knowing the glove is there, he's going to do some Dark World investigation before he thinks about that, perhaps.
Yeah, ironically enough, Game 3 potentially showing the exact same difficulty Game 2 did, where Dark World access ends up being a curse more than a blessing. But again, there's still a whole bunch of stuff left to check here, so not a terribly big deal.
Get your guesses in chat, by the way, quickly. Those of you watching live on the Blue Ball guessing game, we're starting the fight right now. I'm going to say 3. What do you say, Hammer?
I'll go ahead and say 7.
Ah, nice. So the way this works, well, you just saw a blue ball. He fires one good orb, and then the 50-50 chance between a good orb and a blue ball, like that's the good orb, because you can fire that back at him. So we are currently on 1 blue ball, and we now have 2 blue balls. And after 4 such shots, we have a lightning crescendo, like that. And he didn't move. Wow.
Yeah, not really moving a whole lot at all, honestly.
That was another good orb, so we still only have 3 blue balls. Oh, looks like I was right with 3 today. Oh, there it is. So we are going to now go to the Dark World via P-Trains being sent there by a wizard. And look, there's the fast cannon. Who left this cuckoo in the middle of the pyramid?
Yep, getting the same information there. Other 5-6 crystal is Skullwoods.
Yep, that's what I was about to say too. So yeah, now we know where the red crystals are. Oh, we found the King of Samaria over in the treasure game.
Alright, so chat asking what happens if you jump in early. Here's what happens. You jump in and Ganon calls you a dingus, letting you know that he is invulnerable until you have completed the mission at hand.
Oh, that word just hurts, being called a dingus.
It hurts P-Train too, that's why he didn't jump down.
Exactly. We're going to get our check of the Cave of Disappointment, so let's see how disappointing this Cave of Disappointment is here today. We have 5 items that we're going to get. This thief is going to give us a bug-catching net. That's kind of a mediocre start. And then we have some beautiful money, a mushroom, a piece of heart, and another piece of heart. So, Hamper, rate this Cave of Disappointment.
I mean, I feel like the name that you gave it kind of gave away what I should rate it, Cyclone. That's bias right there. You can't just say that. That's going to sway me in one direction or the other.
Yeah, we're trying to get a positive rating out of it here.
I mean, in all seriousness, I'm going to have to wait to see what that mushroom turns up as. And for that matter, potentially what fake powder ends up turning up as, assuming that P-Train grabs his Cane of Samaria and does fake powder before turning in that mushroom. So those are 2 checks that could help us out. But as of right now, pending that mushroom, I'm going to go ahead and give it, I don't know, like a 1.
Yeah, mushroom depending, 1, 2 at most. So that's referring to the original name, of course, Hype Cave. If we were rating actual Cave Disappointment, it would be an 8. Look at that nice bunny sprite for the telepathy tile. Looks like P-Train was not interested in whatever was in Cave 45. He checked it a little too quickly for me to catch it.
Yeah, these checks are to the point where they're so fast, unless you were staring at that screen the exact moment, you're going to miss it. Meanwhile, we are going to have a dig game check, so...
Time to start counting. 1, 2... He dug the same spot twice. That's not going to get him anywhere. 6, 7, 8, 9. I'll stop counting, but there it is, 11.
I mean, you could have kept going at that point. You only had 2 more.
Might as well, yeah. Might as well kept going. And back to the light world, and where is he going to go here? He's heading up back to Kakariko, it looks like.
Yep, and Randomizer showing you that it follows the vanilla route in that once you have defeated Aga 1, well, everything gets a little more dangerous.
And that's because the tree that you can bonk into with the boots that gets you to where that powered dove, now the Titan's Mid, happens to be today, that is located in that specific map. So if the map does not change over, you can never bonk that tree. That's why you have to be able to go to that map. So that map is retained. Here's some music. And both runners now have access to the duck. And DIVISIGNS is heading downstairs in Thieves Town. So there are 3 more chests down here. I've not been keeping a good count of the items in Thieves Town, so I don't know how many items are left. But we do have the hammer, so whatever is in the chest that is locked by the single small key is available.
And we do have a mushroom turn in, so we'll be able to give a final rating for our Cave of Disappointment.
So that's a 9 for the disappointment factor now, I believe.
Yeah, definitely for Cave of Hype, I'm definitely giving it a 1 at this point. 3/4 of a heart and 55 rupees or 70 rupees total. Yeah, not worth
like
our
that.
time.
And we just, we're now escorting a beautiful maiden. We found a small key in the chest next to her, and we just got, well, nothing out of that chest. Ooh, that was an unfortunate fall into the pit there. And he's going to take the lower route now and just lift the block again.
Yeah, falling there is quite the pittance.
I always think it's the pits, but that's just me. So he's going to come upstairs now. We're going to try and get this beautiful maiden outside, but I understand she likes the chance. She wants a little bit of sunshine before we go anywhere, so we're going to give her some sunshine. Oh, wait, she's not a beautiful maiden.
Yep. Instead, we get a blind pun and what so far has been an excellent blind fight by DIVISIGNS. And of course, I had to open my mouth right when things started to go south, but still very well done.
Yeah, still a really good blind fight, and we got a pun about gardeners, which I'm not going to give the pleasure of a repeat.
Yeah, when it comes to gardening puns, I'm fairly certain that blind has them in spades. Sorry, I'm not trying to supplant blind as the garden pun master. Hey!
Let's just
shot in the sea house.
Let's just get the hook shot instead, and we won't worry about the puns here. We have a small key already in the basement. This is not a good sign for Tower Era.
Nope, and since P-Train does not have that hook shot, yeah, we'll have to go do a coffee break.
Time to just run back and forth along the lower wall for a while. Not so much for coffee break when you're running around.
Might need some coffee after the break here.
Pretty much. By the way, DIVISIGNS, let's just put it this way. That was the magic bat, and the magic bat curses you with items. So DIVISIGNS is cursed with having to wear new boots. What the magic bat does not know is that it's going to make DIVISIGNS go a lot faster. The speed run may now begin.
Well, new shoes always make you run faster, so it makes sense.
Yeah, but new shoes can also be uncomfortable, so that's part of the reason why it's a bit of a curse.
Yep, and chat pointing out that DIVISIGNS is far more likely to check Lumberjack Ledge at this given point.
I agree with that. I agree with that. Oh, DIVISIGNS is actually going the other direction. I thought he might be going to Lumberjack for a moment, but he's going to the right instead because he wants to check. No, he can't get to King's Tomb. There's 10.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a situation where he can't check it right now, but if he does take a look at our Lumberjack Ledge, he'll be able to check it in just a minute.
He's going to boot check right now, and he's going to go to Lumberjack next, I feel. We just saw both items on the previous floor, by the way, of Tower of Hera. We found, or on that floor he's on right now, we found the 10 bomb item, which is the bomb pack you can get from your uncle in the basic standard mode, where you start at the castle without any weapons. You have to get a weapon from your uncle. That can be one of the weapons. We then saw a heart container in the big chest.
DIVISIGNS having an extreme extent of dead rocking there. That was not fun at all.
And he's also getting hit by the cabbages quite a bit as well. That cannot be pleasant. So he's going to stop in and get a health up. P-Train falls into the middle hole in the middle of the Moldorm fight and has to go down 2 floors. Climb back up.
Yeah, this seed seems like it has it out for our 2 runners, which is rather unfortunate.
But at the same time, it almost seems fitting after what they just had.
And DIVISIGNS, meanwhile, did not check Lumberjack Ledge.
That is extremely unfortunate. Like, this might be what ends up costing DIVISIGNS in terms of this race. We have to hope he goes to it sooner rather than later, as P-Train gets his first crystal of the match from Moldorm. DIVISIGNS will eventually be forced to the Lumberjack Ledge, but the problem is that there's so few things that require the Titan's Mitts that he will not feel need to actually go there to see what's there until he finds the other spot where he has nothing else to check, and the Titan's Mitt is the only thing he needs. Then he's going to be forced to go through Aghanim to get his Titan's Mitts.
Yeah, because Titan's Mitts really only block, obviously, our last 3 vanilla dungeons, Ice Palace, Misery Mire, Turtle Rock, and then Smith Chain, and and Dark Death Mountain, and that's it.
You need to explain what just happened for a moment here on DIVISIGNS side. That thing you were talking about with the pot, DIVISIGNS just did it on Tower of Harris. So we're going to get up to the top floor here. You saw him clip into a pot. I want to explain what that pot is. At the very top of this room, you see a hole right there at the very top under that pillar. That is the hole where if you fall into that hole, you fall 3 floors into that pot on the second floor. What DIVISIGNS did was he clipped into that pot. So he went to the same room with the fairies, and then he used the warp tile to go directly to the 5th floor. That is allowed for this tournament.
Yep, that is classified as a minor glitch for our set of rules for the randomizer, so he can go ahead and do that. Interestingly enough, though, I'm fairly certain that the big chest did have an item, so might decide to do the coffee break regardless.
The big chest did have an item, and yeah, it's because he doesn't have the big key, he didn't get that item. So we're going to get a look at the Paradise Cave right now. I believe this is our first check of this. And we are finding 50 rupees and another big 20 next to it. 70 bucks on the quote-unquote upper floor because it's labeled as that in the spoiler log. And then moving to the other floor, we have 3 mini Moldorms. You have to kill them to open the door. The chests here contain, well, a lot more money. Even more money. A red boomerang. Some bombs. And 10 arrows. So not a very good mini Moldorm cave unless you're into completing your boomerang collection. Or as chat is calling it, the Bank of Moldorm. P-Train heads over to the Palace of Dark. Actually, I should say the Eastern Palace area, but he's going to hammer to the Palace of Darkness area. And going to head in there. DIVISIGNS is going to get the items out of the chat-dubbed Bank of Moldorm right now.
You know, Bank of Moldorm is a really appropriate phrase for that.
Yeah, I like that.
Alright, so P-Train is all set up for a really quick double dungeon clear right now between Palace of Darkness and Eastern.
I think this is our first check of Sahasraral's claws. I don't believe DIVISIGNS has been over here, so we're going to find out what is back here. We don't need to get information on the green pendant. We know where it is by now. So here is some bombs. It looks like we have a slight leg spike, so we might not see the other... Nope, we're not going to see the other items right now. Our tracker, if someone is able to verify on P-Train's tracker if there was another item collected, that'll at least give us some information. The DIVISIGNS is going over to Eastern Palace right now. He has not been, as far as I know, to Sahasrarala yet. But P-Train is going to warp over to Eastern Palace himself now, and they're both going to Eastern Palace. So they're right behind each other. So we have a few items in here, 3 I believe, and the first, well, that's not an item, that's a map.
Yeah, Eastern is one of those lovely dungeons with just about the same amount of items here as we're going to get dungeon items, so you have a 50-50 chance every chest of actually getting something that's helpful.
Well, at this point, it's now about a 60% chance of getting something helpful because it's now 3-2 ratio. So let's see what's in here, and now it's 75% chance of getting something useful.
Yep, and one of those, that other 25%, is essentially a dungeon fetch quest, as the big key will give you access to both the big chest and our lovely Armos Knight friend, but nothing other than that.
Now, we know one of the items is on the Armos Knight, so it's back to a 66% chance to find something useful in this chest. But given that the big key, and we're going to forge out with numbers here, knowing the big key has to be one of 2 specific chests means that we have a 50-50 chance of that. There it is. So now all the other items are 100% going to be items we may or may not be able to use.
Yeah, but with the lamp doesn't really matter. Everything is actually in logic for this dungeon.
Correct. I saw a piece of heart there just at the as the leg spite finished there.
Yeah, just a piece of heart. So far, nothing great, but, you know, it's one thing off the list. DIVISIGNS showing a perfect example of how useful the boots are. Being able to just take a couple of rooms from P-Train right here, just on the sheer point of being able to go just a little faster.
And that's something you don't normally have when you do Eastern Palace, so it just feels like a luxury being able to have them here.
And there are a lot of straight hallways to use them on.
Oh, there's an item that's useful. We have flips in Eastern Palace.
Yep, that also puts Swamp Palace into logic, so, you know, you win some, you lose some.
I know DIVISIGNS and P-Train not checking the hint tiles because hint tiles are deactivated for this tournament. They are not part of the available things to use for information.
So I guess the question is, have they reverted to the vanilla hint tiles, or do they instead just give you all snarky comments?
I think there's snarky comments because this is based on the Japanese ROM once again, and we had to change English to those tiles.
That makes sense.
Actually, I wonder if the hint tiles even call you a dingus.
We'll have to do research on that afterwards.
Yeah, I have to. Here's the Armos Nice fight. Arrows make this easy. In fact, they're required to get here, so we're going to use the arrows. DIVISIGNS going for the quick kill. You notice he's got 2 shots in one of those knights at the bottom. He's trying to kill. He did it. What he was trying to do is he was trying to fire the final shot into the final knight before it turned red, because that saves a couple seconds. So why not? If you can succeed in doing that, then it prevents the red knight from refilling his health upon turning red, thereby requiring you to use another couple arrows.
Yep, kind of had an unorthodox finish there, but still managed just fine.
Yep. Very nice job by P-Train as well.
You know, I just noticed, with Armos dropping 10 arrows, we
Hold
didn't
on.
even get a full refill.
Hold that thought there. We're going to get another glance at Sahasrar's closet. Let's see if we can see the items this time. We know there are bombs. And then we have bombs. And then we have a full heart container. Okay, that wasn't worth seeing. Continue.
Yeah, not really. 6 bombs and a heart. I mean, the heart's kind of nice because we are a little low on health still. But, you know, not great. So interesting, at this point we have some divergence. Pod being a pendant. P-Train has decided to go at least take a look at it. DIVISIGNS deciding, not worth my time at the moment.
Yeah, let's check out Armos first. DIVISIGNS could finish Palace of Darkness. I'm surprised he didn't consider doing that while he was down there.
I mean, Pod is a somewhat long dungeon, and still have a decent amount of... I think we're going to see a water walk, even with the flippers here from DIVISIGNS, but still have a decent amount of checks to do, so I'm not overly surprised. I don't know if I fully agree with it, but I'm not terribly surprised.
There's the water walk you were just talking about. You want to explain how that's set up, if you know the way it's done?
Yeah, I know the basic gist of it. So essentially what you have to do is you have to have the boots, and what you can do here is you can dash right next to a cliff, and you have to be dashing downwards, if I recall correctly. And essentially what you can do is that puts you in some sort of state where you can jump off a ledge in a downward fashion again, and automatically allows you to walk. As you see, what happened here is DIVISIGNS went from the shallow waters back to the deep, and that kind of reset, so he was only able to water walk for some of it. If you didn't have the flippers, that wouldn't happen, so you would just be able to water walk completely through, as we see a bottle on or a ledge.
Yeah, and that's absolutely right. If you do have the flippers, if you do not have the flippers, you're able to walk along the water as much as you want. But once you hit some shallow water, you are back in regular flipper state because the game recognizes you there.
Amusingly enough, if we're talking about interesting fake flipper strategies, the waterfall fairy chest that DIVISIGNS popped out of that had 2 chests in it there, that checks for the moon pearl to determine whether or not you can continue walking out of it, which is kind of a weird check that I have no understanding of why that occurs, but it does.
I didn't catch what was on the waterfall ledge. Did you happen to see that when we were going by? The Zora ledge?
Yes, it was a red goo. So
Ooh.
not really needed, because both of our runners do have a bottle, but wouldn't have been a bad pickup.
Will still be an interesting safety, though. So we are in the dark, again. And there's the big key for Palace of Darkness.
Well, to be fair, this is the Palace of Darkness. We kind of should have expected being in the dark a bit.
Yes, if you don't expect to be in the dark of the Palace of Darkness, then why would you go to the Palace of Darkness?
That's fair. I guess not technically required, at least yet. That obviously could change under a couple circumstances, but I don't think we found anything terribly useful here in Pod so
I have
far.
not seen anything. Oh, he's going to leave without doing Helmsar King. This is interesting.
I was not item checking, so Helmasaur may have just had either a map or a compass.
Possibly. So let's look at the fact that DIVISIGNS didn't go there yet. We know that is a pendant. If DIVISIGNS can stay out of Palace of Darkness, that would be a huge time advantage for him because P-Train invested that time for no legitimate gain.
Yeah, but on the flip side, we do have DIVISIGNS in Swamp, which is also a pendant, and so far not required. We'll see if we find anything in here. It honestly all depends on when DIVISIGNS decides to check Lumberjack's Ledge, because right now he's going to be looking for those mitts, and he's not going to find them.
Yeah, it's going to come down to Lumberjack Ledge. DIVISIGNS, by the way, coming here, I think, because of the item density. There's one more item here available than there is in Palace of Darkness. But, yeah, it's going to come down to Lumberjack Ledge, and P-Train going to get his King of Samaria.
So, at this point, we do still need the Fire Rod. Is anything else flat out required for Go Mode?
According to P-Train's tracker, according to chat, P-Train's tracker shows that Helmsar King does have an item.
Yeah, but even such, that's one item. It's going to take a couple minutes to get there, a couple minutes to beat up the boss, and then you're only going to get a pendant for it. I don't really blame him.
But at the same time, if that's an important item, that's going to be unfortunate for him to have left behind. There's the hook shot for P-Train.
Yep. But yeah, I think we are potentially looking at Fire Rod for Go Mode.
We might very well be at this point.
Obviously, barring the necessity of Ether, as we don't know what's required for Misery Mire.
So you said Fire Rod for Go Mode. That means that it has to be in Turtle Rock, correct?
I mean, it doesn't have to be by necessity. It seems to always be, so we'll see how that works out.
I mean, 2 chests are not available without the Fire Rod, so it would have to be either the first chest or it would have to be a key in the first chest leading to the second chest in Chain Chomp Room, which could be the Fire Rod or another key, and, things just get complicated from there.
It'll be the last chest in Laser Bridge because, yeah, that's possible.
Yeah.
That's a fair point. Chat pointing out that P-Train's probably not too worried about Hookshot given that Swamp is a pendant and Fast Ganon means that Swamp is, or that Hookshot's not going to be required for GT. But given that he doesn't have boots, it is going to make movement faster in certain circumstances, so not a totally useless item to have, even in these circumstances.
Right now, it is useful for him because he doesn't have the boots. But of course, since he can hover, what's a hook shot?
Well, unless there's something back here on Argus or on the pedestal, the hook shot is going to be not required. Although it will be entry into Mire depending on when he does get those boots.
DIVISIGNS doing the Argus fight. We just saw that incredible Argus fight in the previous scene. If you missed it, if you're watching on YouTube and you missed that fight, it's probably right before this one in the playlist. So go watch that Argus fight P-Train had in the last race. That was an amazing fight. We may get to see it again. But yeah, DIVISIGNS taking out Argus, just doing the last phase right now, fighting the squid itself, and it is down. Let's see if we get an item off of Argus to make this worthwhile. We get a piece of heart, so not really.
Yeah, so that's kind of interesting. Both of our runners taking a gamble on a pendant, and neither of them working out at all.
DIVISIGNS reminding himself of the layout of the pendants and compasses.
Interestingly, not choosing to do left side swamp, so not full clearing swamp. I can't blame him, but still, not. That's a couple more items that are in swamp.
Yeah, we're gambling on Helmusar King, 2 items in Swamp Palace. What else could we potentially be leaving behind here?
Well, if DIVISIGNS doesn't check Lumberjack Ledge, those item locations might come back to haunt him. Also, keep in mind, this is the second race consecutively for both of our runners. So, I mean, there definitely is a situation where you think you checked something, or you thought you saw something, and it's from the last race. So it's a thing that definitely happens.
It most definitely can. Runner fatigue is definitely an issue when you do multiple races.
And even though that last seed was really, really fast, it was also really stressful. The problem with having a seed that's really, really quick is that you don't have any downtime as a runner either. If you have a seed that takes, an hour, 30 minutes, an hour and 45 minutes, you are going to have some time where you're just traversing the overworld, going from one place to another, maybe checking catfish or something of that nature to try and get an item, and you can worry about routing and kind of take a deep breath mentally while you're just kind of automatically going to a location. With the race that our runners had, there was no go time. That was just go as fast as you can.
And as quickly as you can. Yeah, that's yeah, that last seed, I still have no words for it. But P-Train is taking out Blind, getting his 20 rupees for this one. And DIVISIGNS now going to check Palace of Darkness. So he is going to spend the time here that P-Train did. Let's see if P-Train himself goes to Swamp Palace, does the same thing that DIVISIGNS did.
Yeah, at this point, P-Train really needs those boots. That's what's going to make this a bit more expedient for him. Because once you get those boots, then you can get the mitts. And then at that point, it's simply a, being able to do desert and mire right away, and then you're just looking for that fire rod.
I'm trying to remember who gave him boots. I think it was a character that gave him the boots. It wasn't just sitting out. Just trying to remember who it was now.
Yeah, and I have runner fatigue because I keep thinking Checkerboard Cave, but that was the last race.
Oh, Magic Bat gave it to him. So Magic Bat gave the boots.
Which does mean that it's fairly likely that he will make that check sooner rather than later because he is in the area.
Yeah, he should get there eventually. Just a matter of will he remember.
Yeah, powder is one of those items when you have something like either powder and the mushroom or shovel and the flute. Sometimes you can get one, and in this instance, it's often the shovel, and then because you always use the flute, you can forget the shovel's even there because you always just have the flute available.
So P-Train is doing the check of Skull Woods. Now, I don't know if we've actually seen this from DIVISIGNS or not, so this may be new information for us. P-Train is finding a key there. I think we saw a big 20 in the first chest, if I saw that right. He's going to come to this chest, which used to always be a small key. This was for reasons related to avoiding soft locking here, but now it's Carpe Diem, runner beware. You could soft lock yourself, but there's the big key. So that would have been a soft lock scenario had we not had another, had we not had the mirror come in this way.
Yeah, very much so. P-Train doing a quick bomb jump for just a map. So we're looking at only one more check outside of the back of Skull Woods, which it looks like P-Train is not going to be doing. Never mind. I mixed that up. P-Train did back to front, so that was already done.
Yeah. But he can't finish it yet because he doesn't have the fire rod. Speaking of items, there's the bumper ledge. We don't have the cape, so we couldn't pick it up yet anyway, but it's just a piece of heart there.
Yep, and as P-Train is now going away from Village of Outcasts, we could have a situation where that powder is going to be somewhat orphaned. Because the Smith chain is not going to be doable until after we get the mitts, which is not going to be doable until after we get the boots from our lovely bat friend. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think you mean magic bat, not powder there. But we are going to check the graveyard ledge right now. And P-Train's going to mirror to that, and he's going to check what's inside. I think this is also new information.
I believe you are correct, yes.
So the bomb is thrown. He's just going to pick up some hearts while he's here. Why not? And hey, more bombs. So he just used one, so why not pick up some more?
Yeah, P-Train elected to save a couple seconds, though. Especially since he does have a full inventory of bombs.
I agree. He doesn't need to pick those up. Hey, they're there if you ever need them. Which we won't.
Yeah, I'm pretty certain at that point he would just head into one of the shops if absolutely needed, or pull one of the 50-50 rocks with the power gloves.
Mm-hmm. We're going to get over to the catfish area, it looks like. So we're going to get catfish out of the way now. So we're going to get over there. We're going to pick up a rock or a sign or a bush or something, throw it in the pool. We're going to annoy the catfish by bonking him on the head with an item, which he, for some reason, finds extremely unpleasant. I mean, I would too, so I can understand that. And we're going to have to find an item. What do you think he's going to have here?
I'm going to go ahead and say the fire rod, because that would be kind of funny. For those of you in chat who are asking, DIVISIGNS is a telepathy tile, which you can only really see from the front side there. From the other directions, it's a little harder to make out.
By the way, he's making a play at Helmsar King, so this could be interesting. If the fire rod's down here, this will be something P-Train orphaned. There is the red mail from the second mail upgrade from Catfish.
Useful, but not exactly what we were looking for, as P-Train goes ahead and gets these checks out of the way.
We knew what these were already.
Yep, and he will also take a look at the bottle on our lovely waterfall ledge and get ripped off by Zora, because that's what Zora's job is.
Just another day in Randomizer.
Chat pointing out, I think Hobo is still unvisited. I don't believe either of our runners have visited Hobo, so that is another possible location.
Yeah, I don't think so.
At this point in the seed, we are in kind of a terribly amusing place where P-Train and DIVISIGNS are both stuck looking for those mitts. DIVISIGNS doesn't know that they're on the lumberjack ledge, and P-Train knows but doesn't know where the boots are. So both of them need the mitts. One of them has information, and but doesn't have the item. The other one has the item but not the information. So we'll see who figures that out next.
I'm just taking a look at the possibilities for pedestals. I know Fire Rod is go mode. The question is, no, we can't. Fire Rod cannot be on the pedestal because Turtle Rock is a pendant. And I don't think there's anything else except for Ice Rod that could possibly be there. And even then, that's needed for Turtle Rock. So we can conclude the pedestal will not come into play as our item here. The only way I could see that being the case would be if it was a fetch quest, but even then you need the item that the fetch quest would lead to finish Turtle Rock.
Yeah, so the only way we are getting anything on the pedestal, because it is still alive, is if Mire requires Ether and Turtle Rock does not.
For all we know, we could also have a bow upgrade on the pedestal, so silvers could be locked there, but that would be just a nice to have at this point.
Yeah, I don't see either of our runners doing that.
No. We're being told Hobo had a shield.
Yep, just picked up. Hobo did have a shield upgrade, as you can see P-Train right there with the ride shield.
Mm-hmm. We're going to go to a Guinea check. I believe, again, that this is new information. If not, I, for some reason, haven't seen it. And there's 20 rupees there, so that's out of play. So both runners are starting to run out of things to check. P-Train is going to have to make his way over to Magic Pad eventually. What is interesting here is that both runners, despite the additional dungeons lit up on DIVISIGN's side, both runners have the same number of crystals checked or completed. So, and actually the exact same crystals. They've done the exact same crystals. So depending on when each gets to the item they need, this could tell you what the difference is going to be in the race. However, DIVISIGN still has to do the Ganon dungeon, and he doesn't know that yet. And that will cost him another 4 minutes or so in order to get through that.
Yep, and P-Train's going to be grabbing their boots here, so we are going to get our mitts very soon.
But we still don't have Fire Rod.
Yep, still waiting on that bit. But at that point, after grabbing mitts, you are going to have 3 dungeons that you can go ahead and clear. So I wouldn't be surprised, well, potentially, outside of, again, Mire being Ether. I wouldn't be surprised to see P-Train just rush those 3 dungeons and hope that the Fire Rod is somewhere along there.
So P-Train has now been cursed with having to wear new footwear. That's got to be uncomfortable. And he shows his rage by just rushing out of the room.
Yeah, with as much speed as he's putting on there, that has to be blister central. And it looks like DIVISIGNS is about to check as well. So amusingly enough, we're going to have sort of a high five.
Kind of a high five from a different section. Yeah, high five from a different section. He sees that, he's like, oh no. P-Train probably feels like he's behind now, though.
Yeah, that is possible with all of the checks, including all of those pod checks that P-Train did outside of Helmus or Kings that weren't required. So both runners probably not feeling great at this particular moment.
P-Train will get the Bonk Rocks check out of the way.
Yep, and then we'll be able to do King's Tomb, which I believe King's Tomb is a new check for us.
And P-Train does get his temper sword at this point. DIVISIGNS has had that for a while, so he has had a sword advantage. He now knows that he has to do Ganon, so he's going to go do that. He's going to go get his very, very much needed Titan's Bit, and then we're going to get to see what he does. But will the Fire Rod be here behind King's Tomb? May it already be too late for DIVISIGNS? This could be a moment in the race right here as we find just 20 rupees.
Yeah, definitely the wrong red item, so not helpful there for P-Train. And honestly, this could very much still be a race. It could come down to a whole bunch of things. There's a lot of places that Fire Rod could be hiding, truth be told. So we could still come down to one person finding it before the other and being able to be in go mode.
And we don't know what can happen at the end either. I mean, let's go back to the first race. And if you didn't see it, go back a bit further on the playlist and look for the first race in the series. Because it was, I know I called that one. It was quite a finish. We had a Silver Arrow Ganon fight against a Silverless Arrow Ganon fight. And it came down within a few seconds. And since for those watching on YouTube who might not have watched the other race, I'm not going to say who won which race, but it came down to a few seconds, literally a 5-second difference. fantastic race and definitely worth the rewatch.
Yeah, very much so. And then the second race was, again, I'm not going to call out the winner here, but one of the fastest races I have ever had the chance to see that was not a spoiler log race. It was absolutely insane, definitely worth a watch as well.
Yeah, one of the fastest seed I remember, not considering spoiler log format, was a run that I saw between Andy and Crystal Owen a couple years ago in another tournament, another main tournament. I think we had a 105 by Crystal Owen, one of those finals races. So that's probably the fastest time I've seen, and we came pretty close to that.
Yeah, I believe it was somewhere between 106 and 107 from our winner in that last one, which
it was 107 and change. Yeah, 107 and change.
All right, so P-Train doing as I suspected, and with Bombos being required for Meyer, we can now officially take the ped and just murder it. No ped today, guys. Sorry.
You don't murder the ped.
Well, what do you do with it then if you don't utilize it?
You just embrace the fact that you didn't have to get the pedestal.
Is that called pushing the ped as opposed to pulling it?
Sure.
All right, that works. So meanwhile, DIVISIGNS going to be dealing with the three delaying blue balls that Ganon throws our way. But other than that, he's just a couple minutes away from those mitts.
While it does look like a DIVISIGNS tracker that he could be ahead because of the extra dungeon clears, it's worth knowing again that those are pendant dungeons. Unless P-Train goes back and clears those dungeons looking for the fire rod, those aren't going to be lit up for him. Right now, the difference in this race appears to be DIVISIGNS checking and clearing Swamp Palace, where P-Train has not been.
Yeah, at this point, knowledge was most definitely power.
I don't think P-Trains is going to go to Swamp Palace because Swamp Palace is a place that very often runners choose to clear in go mode if possible. This can tend to backfire since there are 6 items in Palace of Darkness. And when you're looking for one item, the possibility that any of those 6 items in Palace of Darkness could be your fire rod, that could be eating at P-Train's mind a little bit. But he's going to go through all the dungeons he can that are crystal dungeons. He's going to clear everything possible, and only when he runs out of options would he consider something like that.
Yeah, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised to even see Smith Chain and Dark Death Mountain before a swamp check.
That's right.
But meanwhile, we are going to get a Meyer clear next, and then right on the heels of that, we're going to get an Ice Palace clear, I would presume.
I would presume that too, and you know what? I'm going to make a call here. Fire rod's in here.
Wouldn't be the first time.
Probably on the bridge.
You know, I've noticed that Fire Rod has been go mode quite frequently.
It has been.
Meanwhile, DIVISIGNS is just a couple of pots and a bomb explosion away from seeing a trio of bombs, which he will then turn around and not grab. Yep. Yeah, so for those of you in chat or watching on YouTube who are hoping for a close race, we are looking for a fire rod that is going to be buried in the seed, so not in any of these dungeons. Perhaps somewhere in Turtle Rock would be an interesting location, because at that point, it would lead to just a complete frenzy looking for the fire rod, which could then give DIVISIGNS the advantage back, should they choose to find it.
And with DIVISIGNS going through Swamp Palace, it tells me that he's trying to make a play that P-Train might not make, thinking that he's already behind where P-Train is. he may gamble on Turtle Rock before going to the other crystal dungeons. If he does that, he can go mow those dungeons while P-Train is scrambling around looking for the Fire Rod. That could give DIVISIGNS some of that time that he needs to get back.
That would surprise me. I still think that DIVISIGNS should be going through our crystal dungeons next, but even...
I want to stop you for a second. Hammer, bro. P-Train is already going to the back of a Misery Mire now. We had a little bit of a leg spike there, but I don't see why he would do this unless he found the Fire Rod.
Well, we'll see in just a moment. P-Train will open up the menu to switch to bombs, so... we will see in just a moment if the Fire Rod has been grabbed. It could also be that P-Train just kind of gambling and hoping that,
he doesn't have it. So he's gambling a little bit. Either that or he already found 2 items during the leg spike, and as a result, knows the Fire Rod is not in here and found the big key as well. But I didn't think he would have found him that quickly, so I think he's gambling. There's the shovel for DIVISIGNS. He could check the shovel spot. I don't think P-Train checked that yet.
Yeah, fetch quests are always fun.
So say hello to Vitreous. Just a bunch of eyeballs staring at you and looking into your soul, if you will. And then they fire lightning at you. Like
I was going to ask you what lightning, but not quite fast enough to do the 0 cycle.
And that's 1 Vitreous down. And that's a key obtained. DIVISIGNS getting his Swamp Palace, or not Swamp Palace, his Desert Palace big key. Getting his bottle on the right side, so now he has his second bottle. And above that is a compass. So we know that P-Train won't find his Fire Rod here. At this point, with the exception of the dungeon's difference, which is 2 at this point, DIVISIGNS is trying to make that 1 by completing Desert Palace right now. With that exception, they're otherwise on even pegging again.
Yep, but P-Train, I'm almost positive, did not get 2 items out of Mire. So
no, I don't think he did. Now he's definitely gambling. Ouch.
Which, that's kind of interesting. It goes to show just how much P-Train thinks he's behind. Which does kind of make sense, as the boots took forever for him to find. I could see why, especially in a 1v1 setting, you could think, well, my opponent could very easily have done this earlier and then gotten the mitts way earlier, so I just need to go and hope that the Fire Rod is just right in front of me somewhere. Well, a situation where P-Train thinks he's in go mode.
Here's the issue. This is the last dungeon he can clear before needing the Fire Rod. And even then, this dungeon is easier to clear with the Fire Rod. He's going to have to use the Bombos everywhere instead of the Fire Rod. So the fact that he's not going to have... unless he finds the Fire Rod in the 3 chests here, I can't see him gambling on all these chests, skipping all these chests. He's opening this one for the Heart Piece, for example. 2 items left. So he's going to open these chests, but if it's not in these 3 chests, he's going to have to go back and check locations he's orphaned. This means Palace of Darkness, go to Helmisar King, perhaps. This means going to Swamp Palace. This means going back to Misery Mire and checking the chest in Misery Mire, unless he found items that we didn't see him find because of a leg spike, which is definitely possible.
Well, what you also have to think about is that there's a whole boatload of items that just haven't been checked, like Smith Chain, and the entirety of Dark World Death Mountain, because all of those are mitts locked, and mitts were gotten really late in the seed.
Yes.
So there's just a complete buttload of locations where we could be looking for that could have our Fire Rod. So this could very, very quickly turn into a seed of insanity. Scavenger hunts are not fun in Rando. Yeah,
this is turning into one of those cases of, I don't mean to use this word, but a circus trying to find the Fire Rod, because there's just so many places it can be, like you said.
Yep, and us getting Bombos beforehand also not helping because that puts Ice Palace on the map.
No.
I'm fairly certain that Divisigns is going to full clear Mire, though, or at least get the 2 items out of here, so we will have that information.
I'm surprised P-Train didn't drop a bomb before going down and killing the lower pen gators, because that actually is the way to one-cycle that room with pen gators. Drop a bomb as you come out of the door, and then do a sword spin on the ones that aren't going to get hit by the bomb, and one shot, done.
I think usually people try to just get all 6 with a single sword spin.
Well, what else are you going to use the bombs for?
I don't know, rando.
Besides these bomb jumps, of course.
Well, there's certainly enough of those in Ice Palace, so I think we have the bombs all set.
And we're going at some of these jellyfish here.
And they always get in the way, no matter what.
And they get murdered.
Hookshot certainly helps with that.
Wow! That's going to be useless this seed. I almost reacted.
I did too. I had a moment of, wait, is that? Nope, wrong color. Yeah, because the Ice Rod won't even unlock Trinix for us, because it also requires Fire Rod.
That's right. Of course, if that was a Fire Rod, I would have probably reacted.
Oh, this is interesting. Divisigns also going straight back to Vitreous.
Oh boy.
Hey look, it's Silvers.
Well, at least P-Train has the opportunity to catch up if he ends up behind on the Ganon fight again. That nice triple in the first race.
Oh boy, this is going to be one of those seeds that's just going to string us along for a bit. Thankfully, though, outside of Dig Spot, our fetch quests are fully handled, so... one less thing to check there.
So we're going to move on to Cold Stare at this point.
Is there one more item in Ice Palace, or did P-Train get all 3 of them?
I know I saw 2. I don't know if he got all 3.
Alright, so Ice Tea Room could end up being orphaned as well. This could get ugly.
Unless this is an item. Oh, we're being told he got all ice items. That's why he came straight down.
Alright. That's one less thing to worry about then.
And nice cornering of the eyeballs, and they're all dead. There's the map.
Yeah, very nicely done. Duo eyeball boss kills here as Divisigns takes down Vitreous.
I remember now. It was a piece of heart, the ice rod, and the and that last item.
The third one's the one that I didn't see, so...
Just trying to remember what it was now. Silvers. You did call that one.
That's right. Alright, so now we have a situation where Divisigns has also noped out of Mire. So we have 2 items sitting in Misery Mire, just kind of waiting there.
If those are the Fire Rod... oh boy. We have Divisigns heading up Death Mountain. Now what he's doing right now is he is gambling on Death Mountain. He is assuming that it is here and not in Ice Palace, which at this point he could be correct because we know it's not in Ice Palace. So he's correct that it's not in Ice Palace. He's gambling coming up here, thinking it's up here. I would have possibly finished the Mire clear first so he wouldn't have to ever go back there. Because if it's back there, P-Train didn't pick it up, and this would have been Divisigns' chance to get back in the race. At this point, I think Divisigns is just going to end up staying behind because they both left the same items behind.
That's a fair point, but we don't know that P-Train is going to actually do a clear of Turtle Rock at this point, so this could also be another location. Although, given that he is now opening it...
Well, they open it when they see they can open it anyway. That way they don't have to do it later. But I think he's going to check Hookshot Cave first, and then they're going to do what they can of Turtle Rock, which could be just find the first chest and not being able to go in. But if that's the case, then Hookshot Cave very likely could be the Fire Rod, but could just be back in Mire.
Yeah, it could be back in Mire. It could be on left side swamp, too. We didn't get a left side swamp clear.
That's right. It'll be a question of who goes back and finds it first in that case.
Yeah, we have a lot of... We could also be Smith Chain, which has not been checked, so we still have plenty of items. There's plenty of possibility here.
DIVISIGNS and Hookshot Cave. We didn't see the second item in Soup Bunny Cave. I don't think that was the Fire Rod that DIVISIGNS picked up. So here we have 50 rupees. We have a full heart container. And we have a heart piece. So not Hookshot Cave, it looks like. We'll get another look at that first item on P-Train's side, but it was not the Fire Rod. And it was 20 rupees.
You know, we also have Dig Spot.
DIVISIGNS not going to Turtle Rock. He's leaving.
Probably going to check Skull Woods because DIVISIGNS has not done that yet.
Looks like it.
So then at this point, there's a decent amount of... Oh, you know what? We're going to have a Smith Chain check. This is going to be new information for us.
This is big. This could be big. Will P-Train even be able to progress into Turtle Rock? That is the next question. If so, this could be going down the rabbit hole right here.
The big thing for obviously the biggest question is the Fire Rod in Turtle Rock?
Oh, he can go in.
The secondary question that's just as important at this point is how far is Turtle Rock going to suck P-Train in before spitting him back out?
It's going to suck him over to Chompy. That is at a minimum. We're going to have to go visit the Chain Chomps. And he gets pushed off the platform. That's going to cost him time.
Yeah, so at this point, in order for P-Train to go farther in, we are going to need a small key.
And he doesn't mean the one that is going to come off this pokey. That one opens the door that you see in front of you.
Yep, we're going to need a small key in this chest coming up right here. And then we're going to need a big key in the chest after.
There's a small key.
Oh, boy.
You might be getting your wish. Of course, if Fire Rod is in here, that's pretty much the end.
Yes. Our Smith bros not giving us anything useful, just 10 arrows there. P-Train's going to need a big key in the lava chest to continue going. And the big key, and if there is a big key here in its vanilla location, it will also, as P-Train goes down the wrong corridor there, it will also open up Mimic Cave.
Gary, meanwhile, gives a piece of his heart. What is on the Lava Island chest? We have a full heart container.
So I'm kind of surprised that P-Train didn't just mirror out.
I think he's going to Mimic Cave.
That's right, you can still reach that. Oh, that would be a terrible location for the Fire Rod.
That would be a horrible location.
Meanwhile, just had some rupees in the dig spot, so we can check that off. DIVISIGNS is going to be going into Ice Palace, which we know is not going to be the answer.
But it has to be completed, so he might as well do it.
That's a fair point. It's looking more and more like your supposition of Mire for that Fire Rod location is... Well, it's becoming more and more likely as we dwindle locations down.
It will depend on here. It will depend on this check of Mimic Cave right now. Are we going to find the Fire Rod in one of the worst locations you can have it here in Mimic Cave with no access to the right side of Turtle Rock? We are going to find it in Mimic Cave. And at 1 hour, 17 minutes, and 23 seconds, P-Train is definitively in go mode to win this series.
Yep, and just worth pointing out, P-Train entered go mode in this series about 10 minutes after the first place finish of the last game. So, you know, just a thought.
Yeah, in this race. Yeah, that shows you how this seed was a lot different than the last one.
So at this point, it's going to be a really quick finish, guys, because we just have Mothula and then just a journey over to our Ganon buddy. So we are not going to have a GT Big Key guessing game. I know. I'm sorry, guys. It's the unfortunate part of Fast Ganon.
Yeah, we have to give up the GT Big Key game today. Sorry, guys. But feel free to put your guesses in chat as to how quickly the Ganon fight will go. We're not going to take tabulation of this, though. Put guesses in the finishing time, let's say. Finishing time.
Are you going to go ahead and toss a guess out there then, Cyclone?
Let's see. We're just going to Mothula. I'm going to say we have a 124-10. 124-10.
All right. I believe in P-Train a little more than that, so I'm actually going to say 123-10. I'll give a minute gap between us.
So we're going to go to Mothula's lair right now.
Yep. Meanwhile, DIVISIGNS doing an excellent job of getting all those pen gators in one cycle there.
I may have miscalculated the amount of time to get back to Mothula.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna say anything. I'll just I'll just take what might end up being the correct guess.
Ryan, we found your cane on a bug. You may not want to touch it.
Yep, so at this point, despite caves and logic, we can go ahead and do that. Alternatively, we could just go ahead and fight Ganon, which is the route I'm fairly certain P-Train's going to take.
Yeah, I have a feeling Spike Cave is not going to get visited today.
And the amusing part is P-Train is probably going to be surprised to win this race. Although, I may have underestimated the amount of time it would take to get to Ganon. So, I don't know. We'll see. Could be close.
Yeah, I think you might have. I'm actually starting to think we're going to be in the 122. Because we have the silver arrows. I didn't think about that either.
Yeah, I thought about it, but boots are nice.
Yeah, 122.10 sounds a lot better.
Yeah, especially if P-Train can manage a 1-1.
Anyway, DIVISIGNS continuing in Ice Palace. We don't have to visit Aghanim's Tower today, so we'll let the wizard just cry up there.
I mean, we also still did have to beat him once, so we did get our one Aghanim fight. It's just Aga 1 instead of Aga 2 this go round.
I have never seen that Ganon message before, and I didn't even catch what half of it said. Something about stereotypes and corruptness.
Yeah, that's all I got.
Oh, what those bat dodges!
Yeah, that was insane. I think he said something about why would I do something with stereotypes when I can corrupt this world instead.
Yeah.
These teleportation tiles making me be a little closer in my guess.
Yeah, Ganon was warping a little bit there, so we're going to get a triple attempt here. Look at this. We're going to get a triple, I think. Maybe not. One more shot, though. There it is. So all P-Train has to do to win this series now is cross a dangerous 1x3 bridge into a glowing room beyond that contains 3 fragments of triangle that he hopes to hold very shortly. And he does succeed in doing so. That is the race. That is the series, ladies and gentlemen. P-Train wins with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 22 minutes, and 19 seconds. We did it!
Yep, just as DIVISIGNS holds up his 6th crystal from being able to defeat Cold Stare.
And he also forfeit. So that is now indeed the race. And get your GGs in chat for both of our runners. for putting on this tremendous series. It went down to 3 games. DIVISIGNS and P-Train split the first 2 games. First race, very, very close. Second race was just an incredibly quick seed. And this third race was just one of those insane, crazy, I'd rather say disgusting seeds with a couple of the item placements that it was definitely a different show between the second and third seeds in this series.
Yeah, I would argue that that all 3 seeds gave us something a little different each time, which is fun to watch. Different flavors of randomizer, if you will. All right, so I don't know if DIVISIGNS is going to be doing an interview, but I do see that P-Train is ready to roll when we are.
Okay, I'm just finding out that DIVISIGNS will not be joining us. Probably going to be in chat. So that means at this point, the best thing we can do is chat with our series winner, P-Train. GG.
GG.
So I know Hammer, who called both of these races, probably has some questions related to the second seed. But before we go into that one, let's talk about seed number 3 here. What were your thoughts on that one today?
Both of these seeds were like worst case scenarios for me. I felt like I had an execution advantage over DIVISIGNS. So really what I needed were linear grinds. And this one, like, were Fire Rod from Go Mode, like very early into the seed, at least logically. It took me a while to get the boots. But yeah, like you end up in this situation where you're 1 item from Go Mode, and that 1 item can be literally anywhere, so you just have to choose correctly.
And in this case, it turned out to be one of the worst possible locations it could be in. You would not go into Turtle Rock looking for a Fire Rod when you can't even get to the first 2 of the first 3 chests in Turtle Rock without that Fire Rod. So the fact that it was last location, you had everything else done before then. I actually, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think you picked up the items in Misery Mire, correct?
No, I did not. I was feeling very behind after a useless pod. Also, I was having flashbacks to Seed 1, which probably isn't the best thing to let guide your decisions. But the first seed in which or the first race in the series, I lost by 5 seconds. And one of the things that I did was I dove Pendant Pod, whereas DIVISIGNS skipped it entirely. So I dove Pod again. It had nothing. So, and I knew that I should have done Thieves Town before Pod, but I was doing Eastern anyways. I had opened it up. Bow didn't lead to anything in Eastern, so why not dive a bow-locked Pod? Unfortunately, that didn't lead to anything, and then I did Thieves Town in a way that ended up with me getting boots really late. So I got the mitts, and I was actually very suspicious of Ice Palace because I had both the flippers and bombos. So I really wanted to go to Ice Palace. Instead, I thought it would be safer to go to Mire because if the big key is buried in Mire, then I'm probably going to get those items anyways. So I go to Mire, and I get the God Mire. And I'm like, oh, great. If Fire Rod is anywhere else, because I was already suspicious of Ice Palace anyways, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking like, oh, great. Well, if it's an Ice Palace and DIVISIGNS went to Ice Palace first, he got a God Mire. So let me go ahead and just go mode Mire. It doesn't take long to get back here. I might clear Ice and then get the Fire Rod there, and then afterwards come back to Mire or something like that. So that was the reason why I skipped the item to Mire. I still went and got the item out of Desert because I figured DIVISIGNS would not skip the second item in Desert. So I might as well get that just in case it's a Fire Rod. So then I go to Ice Palace, full clear and empty Ice Palace. So I was like, oh great, it's not even here. I immediately wanted to go to Swamp after that, but thought it would be slightly, at the same time, like I'm really worried about tilt. So I didn't want to go completely off the rails and just start doing crazy stuff. So I decided to play it a little bit safer and do Dark Death Mountain first. Even though if it's on Dark Death Mountain, I felt like I was pretty much done. And then Turtle Rock just kept leading me along. And then I found Fire Rod. Now, when I found Fire Rod there, I felt pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't really know DIVISIGNS' habits when it comes to Death Mountain routing, but not a lot of people, even if you have the keys to do it, not a lot of people will follow Turtle Rock into Mimic Cave without a Fire Rod.
And just to explain what DIVISIGNS did do, he actually did do Palace of Darkness in this race, so you both did do that. He did also make the Swamp Palace play in this one, but you never made that play in Swamp Palace. Well, now you know there was nothing you needed in Swamp Palace because you never went in there. So that worked out in your favor that you did skip Swamp Palace for that reason. And as DIVISIGNS never did get up to Turtle Rock, he just finished the Ice Palace Crystal. I think Turtle Rock was possibly going to be his next stop at this point. He would have been finding his own Fire Rod. And that would have led him to the finish. If you had gone to Swamp Palace looking for it, you might have been a lot closer in this race like the first race.
Yeah, I really just this seed. My stomach just started to sink more and more and more. I knew about the gloves very early on, so I knew boots were probably someplace quick. I did AGA, even though I've had a pretty good feeling you could do AGA without the boots. That ended up, or you could do AGA with the boots. That ended up not being the case this seed because Powder was Thieves down, which gave Boots off the magic bat. So you did have to. Well, I mean, even then though, with the glove on Old Man, yeah, you could have still had Boots for AGA. Glove on Old Man was a little unfortunate, but
by the way, you have no idea how unfortunate it was because DIVISIGNS found out without knowing the other one was at Lumberjack, so it led him into Dark World. It led him everywhere, and he didn't get that until I want to say around 40 minutes or something like that. Is that about right, Hammer Road? Do you think?
Yeah, it may have been actually a little later because DIVISIGNS had no idea that the mitts were sitting on the ledge, so he's just going around clearing everything that he can, and finally does a check on the. He actually checked Lumberjack Cave right around the same time that you got the mitts because you were going in, you were breaking the tree as he was going into the other entrance.
Okay. You went straight to Agnum, but at that point you started getting ahead with the crystals. Until then, you had been even on crystals. He had just cleared Palace of Darkness and Swamp Palace by the time you were getting the mitts, and he was going into Agnum. So he had those 2 pendant dungeons cleared. He has 8 dungeons cleared on his track, whereas you have 7 cleared, yet you're the one who got the 7 crystals and got to Ganon and beat him first. So that's what the difference was here. Do you want to ask any questions about the second game, Hammer Bro, since you were on the call for that one?
Yeah, so that seed was absolutely insane, wasn't it?
Yeah, again, a worst case scenario, because it's like anytime you get a real fast seed like that, and it's kind of ironic because with the second seed, I was 1 item from go mode 30 minutes in, and I'm looking for any fire source. And then this one, I ended up needing Fire Rod for go mode, so it's just the fire items have been really trolly today for me.
So here's what was crazy about that second seed, though. You actually had the advantage of having grabbed Mirror before you got the Moon Pearl. So at that point, when you did pick up Moon Pearl, really the only thing you were looking for was a fire source. What happened on DIVISIGN's side is that he ended up grabbing the Moon Pearl first, which opened up the entirety of the Dark World. So he didn't go back and get that mirror until really, really late. So even though it's probably terrifying going through a seed like that, because at that point you're thinking, I can so easily just mess this up by not guessing where this item is, and I have everything open. The fact that DIVISIGNS got the mirror way after and that Moon Pearl was grabbed way earlier ended up really being a trap for him.
Yeah. And I ended up doing some extraneous checks too, even after being in go mode, just because I think after clearing Swamp Palace, I had 6 hearts, which I'm reasonably confident in my execution, but I don't care how good you are. Like a 6 heart Blue Mail Ganon's Tower is really scary.
Yeah, you did end up finding, I think, 2 hearts in Hype Cave. So Hype Cave, although in a standard race would have been, I don't know, maybe a 1 or a 2 out of 10, the fact that you were sitting in go mode and only having 6 hearts, I felt like Hype Cave was actually relatively useful in that regard.
Oh yeah, it absolutely was. I think the NPC had like a big 20, and then it was 2 heart containers and 2 heart pieces. So yeah, it was really nice. I was hoping that we didn't need the Fire Rod. That was another thing I was a little worried about because, again, going back to Game 1, I thought Game 1 was a hover seed, whereas DIVISIGNS God routed in the hook shot. So I was worried that, if it ends up being a right side big key and DIVISIGNS God routed the Fire Rod in, and I can't get this bomb jump to work out, then I might be in bad shape. I almost did Tile Room before right side.
Yeah, that's fair. We were kind of going back and forth about whether or not you might do tile room before that, but then, I mean, you skipped tile room and you completely nailed that bomb jump. Like, regardless of what you were thinking in your head at the time, from our side, it just looked awesome because you lined everything up and just pop right across, lamp, dash down, got the torches, and just kept going. And then the big key was in that room, so it ended up working out for you.
Yeah, as long as you can get like a good sync between the Wall Master and the Medusa head, it's not that bad. But if those get off sync, it can be really difficult to find time to drop the bomb and line up and all the other shenanigans there.
I mean, either way, you made it look super easy. I know it's not even something I have tried, but I've seen other runners who are far better than me struggle with it, and you just nailed it on the spot. So from our perspective, super cool to watch.
I'm glad to hear that.
Because obviously we're not sitting there in the room next to you watching you mildly freak out about not having the fire rod, and as you go through your left side check, you're like, man, I'm going to have to do this bomb jump, and I don't want to do this bomb jump. We don't see that. We just see Link pop over and do the bomb jump like nothing.
Yeah, it was a really, really fun series.
Oh yeah, it was definitely an absolute joy to watch. So, I'm glad you had fun playing it, because I don't know that it would be fun to play, but it was a blast to watch.
Indeed, that was a great series. We had a great trio of races there, and they were all fantastic races. So this is definitely one of those series that is worth a rewatch for anyone who might have missed these races. With that said, any last thoughts you have, P-Train, before we do start wrapping it up here?
Not really. Thanks for commentating, both Cyclone, Hamner, and I think Cool Peppa Bell, who called the first one. Thanks GFE for checking the first race. Thanks Reg for checking the second one. And I'm looking forward to the next series against Etium. He's a really good runner. I really respect him, so I'm looking forward to it. It should be a really good matchup between the two of us. And we'll see how it goes.
And I'm just taking a quick look at the schedule because I think we have another race that was added to the schedule for later tonight. So I just wanted to do a shout out for the race that was added in the last couple hours while we were on this race. Actually, we have a new race added to the schedule between Cadenza and JP. That's going to be happening at on Speed Gaming 3 at 10:20 this evening. So make sure you keep an eye out for that on Speed Gaming 3. That will be coming up later. With that said, yeah, that's just what's coming up tonight. We have a lot of races on the go tomorrow. Races that are on tomorrow do include, let me see what is actually listed for broadcast. None have been listed for broadcast yet, but some of the ones that I do see there are, let's see, Hayfield Bay and James FNX. I see Jay Misha versus Yoshi. We have F. Coughlin versus Death King 2, and a number of other races. Crystal's Owen versus Jay Cooper. I don't know what is going to be on the schedule yet, so keep an eye on speedgame.org/ALTTPR. And we will have information as to when those races do get scheduled and what races do get put on what channels. Keep an eye on that, and you'll see what is on. Any races that are not broadcast, you can always go follow those runners and watch their races on their channels as well. As for this race, make sure that you do follow our commentary and our commentary. I should say our runners first. Our runners first, P-Train and DIVISIGNS. And their links are in the chat for those of you who do want to do that. Make sure you follow our trackers for the race as well. We had GFE for the first race, and Regaro did eventually come into track on this race as well. They were tracking both those races. Make sure you give them a follow. Make sure you follow Hammer Bro and Cool Papa Bell from the previous race as well. Hammer, do you have any last thoughts before we do wrap it up here?
Yeah, I do have one. With the way that these races have gone, may your fire rod not be in Mimic Cave.
And thank you, chat, for watching as well. If it wasn't for you, we'd just be sitting here talking to each other, basically. So we do appreciate you coming and checking out these races. We do hope you're enjoying the tournament. A lot of tournament action still to come. Make sure you follow Speed Gaming 2 through 6 for more information on all the races coming up here on Speed Gaming, as well as ALTTP Randomizer and ALTTP Randomizer 2 through 5 when the races start going there as well. And you'll get all the Zelda you need for this tournament and other events going on in the ALTTPR community. So with that said, I'm going to be giving you the final word, Hammer, but I just want to say to you, chat, again, thank you for watching. Made out all your seeds be pet seeds. Have a good night. See you for the next one. Hammer, take us out.
Yep, nothing to add to that. So have a good night, everyone, and stay safe during the crazy holiday season.
Good night.